Welcome to A Heart for Home Education. My name is America, mother to three, homeschooling in a classical and Charlotte Mason way. Today we're going to be talking about our morning basket and our liturgy for lessons. So our morning basket is something that we will typically open our lessons with, and I wasn't sure whether that should be focused on the breakfast morning prayer hour with Bible time or our family lesson block. So I'll share a little bit about what we are doing for both of those. And if you've seen my timetable video, then you can see how I've laid these out throughout the week. 4 or 5 days a week, we have our Bible and spiritual morning loop, and then we also have our family lesson block as well. So I kind of consider both of those morning baskets. However, we're not doing them at the same time. So our breakfast basket or our breakfast loop, these are the resources that we are using. So our morning basket has 2 parts to it. Our breakfast loop includes reading from scripture. We are reading through Exodus, and my husband is reading through a gospel book with them. I'm using this to support our reading, and this probably only once per week. This is a longer read, so I find 2 readings per week of this, of Exodus, with 1 reading per week of this is a helpful balance. And then most days we are reading Lillian Trasher after Bible, adding in our scripture and catechism, which I'll show you some clips of. These are the verses that we are working on, and once we master it, we move it back to Monday. And then each Monday, you review the cards that are in the Monday slot. And each Tuesday, you review those ones, and so on and so forth. And then after the days of the week, the months, or the days of the month are also listed, 1 through 31. And once you've reviewed them in the weekly slots, you can start moving them back to the 1 through 31 slot. So I'll try to link the video where Sonia from Simply Charlotte Mason explains it, because this is her system and her idea, and she would be able to explain it better. And 1 story per week. We'll take a break from Lillian Trasher once per week and read a story from Trial and Triumph. This has been a really helpful resource for pulling catechisms, and this is a catechism for boys and girls, scripture memory, and just some other biblically based things that we could memorize. So I have liked flipping through this, and I think I'll be using this throughout the year. I like that it's all condensed into 1 book. And then the second part of our morning basket occurs in the schoolroom, and we start with this liturgy for lessons. This is something that I created for my kids, just pulling from a lot of different resources. I hope to have up a version of this on my shop, but a lot of this I've pulled from other resources, so I'd have to be careful. Like, I think this is public domain, but I think I got this copy from the Happy Hymnody. And then this is our memory work. And I was reading Mere Motherhood by Cindy Rollins, and she talks about how memory work should really be about remembering important things and not about cramming a bunch of facts into our children's heads. So I want to be careful of that, but I am making this memory work meaningful for them in giving the informing idea behind it. So for the Pledge of Allegiance, last year, all year, we studied U.S. history, and we've actually studied that for a couple of years now. So it means something to my children, and they have some understanding of why the Pledge of Allegiance is important to our country. Then we go over the date, the days of the week, months of the year, how many days are in a year. I'm holding this ruler because we also go over our address and mom's phone number. We talk about counting by 2s, 5s, 10s, and some other math basics that it's helpful to just, it takes 5 seconds to say these things, but the impact can be lasting. And then we're not starting off with all of this. I plan to add 1 or 2 statements per week, but pointing to and naming the 4 directions, naming the 7 continents. And then this is our folk song. And then this is a little Charlotte Mason based statement. I am, I can, I ought, I will. And by the end of the year, I hope that we are able to recite all of this together. After the morning liturgy, we do 2 stories, 2 or 3 stories out of this. And I have my children narrate, and we read a poem from All the Year in the Garden. These have a poem for each date, so I just read that day's poem. If we missed a couple, like we started in August late, so I just kind of have been catching up with those poems. And then after that, we move into our history books. We have Story of the World, and we will read a couple of sections of this and do narration. And then I alternate between these two, or if for some reason we have some extra time, I will read both because they're both so enjoyable. We are just loving Boy of the Pyramids. My children ask for this almost every day, even on days that we aren't doing history. And we are enjoying this too. This is The Adventures of Spider. This one surprised me how much I enjoy this. I actually detest spiders, so I can't even really look at the cover for that long. But this is such a fun book, and it's told so beautifully. So we have enjoyed this. These are West African folk tales. On days that we aren't doing history, we are doing Apologia Astronomy during our morning basket and reading a little bit of Bard of Avon, the story of William Shakespeare, before we jump into Nesbit's Shakespeare's retelling. During our morning basket is when I take most of their narrations. And so I copy by hand in here. I use this, I keep this because I sit at my chair while I do our family reading. So I just pull this out if it's time for a written narration. Now I don't copy every single one of their narrations, but I do have a plan for which narration I'm going to copy that day. So for instance, they will narrate after each of these stories, but I may have a plan, or I may just pick in the moment out of these readings which narration I'm going to write down. Like today, I wrote down narrations for actually both of these. I wasn't totally pleased with the narrations they gave me for this one, and so I wrote down the narrations for this one as well. So I just write the name of the book and the date, and then I handwrite their narration. We hole punch it and put it into their binder system, which I will share in an upcoming video. But that's just how I keep it easy and streamlined so that we can still have that morning basket feel, but still be writing down some of our narrations. So these are the 3 things that we do every day, and then we are adding in the history or the science and literature. And we try to get this in every day. And if I don't get to this during morning time, then it will be a lunchtime read. But we are just loving this, having so much fun with this. So I try to fit it in and end on a favorite during morning time. There you have it. Those are the subjects that we are looping through in our morning basket, the resources that we are using. I am so excited to start the year and to start reading these and experiencing them and enjoying them with the kids. Let me know some of the picks that are in your morning basket. I'll see you in the next one.